So I think this is our fourth recording that I've done. It might be our third or fourth on Justin Norcutt's tutelage on how to get started on Prison Professor's Talent. How do you memorialize your journey? And what I wanted to share with participants is that he first wrote his biography that described who he was and how he got here. Then he started writing a journal. The next thing is a book report. I'm not going to dictate a book report. I'm just going to tell you what to do. If you read something that's important to you, my recommendation is that you use what you're reading, to demonstrate you are self-directed. You don't wait for somebody else to open an opportunity for you. You create your own opportunities. And that means you become very disciplined and deliberate in what you read. So when you read a book, I would recommend you write, why did you read this book? What prompted you to pick this book up and read it? And if it's not a book, if it's a podcast, if it's whatever it is, self-directed learning, tell us why, number one. Number two, tell us, what did you learn from this particular investment of your time? Okay? And three, you're going to want to talk about how will having read this book or listened to this podcast or went through this course, how will that relate to your future success? Three things, no big deal. But if you do that, you will be super successful. And I'm going to ask a question of Justin right now. Justin, you were in prison for 22 years. Could you tell me how many books you read?
I read probably a few hundred books, but sad to say they were not of the educational level. I've read, Westerns and whatnot. I didn't take my study serious until the end of my journeys when I started reading.
You read the second series.
I did, okay. The long arm and the
You're not
second.
alone. That's the whole thing. People in prison don't pursue this self-directed, deliberate learning. But imagine how powerful it would have been if Justin said, he's sitting across the table from a potential employer, and he said, listen, when the guy says, you were in prison for a whole time, you got a big gap here, right? If you watch video one, that's what he spoke about, right? Well, what you want to say is, let me tell you why that's a strength. Because while I was in prison, I was in jail for 26 years. Every year I set a goal, or 22 years, and every year I set a goal of reading at least 50 books. That's why I have 1,000 book reports. 1,000. And in those books, each of them, I tell you what I learned, why I chose to read it, how it's going to help me become more valuable in your company. For example, I read Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it taught me to always seek first to understand before I seek to be understood. I don't want you to understand me. I understand your company, because I learned how to prepare for that before I came here. And by learning about your company, I'm going to tell you why I can bring enormous value. Number one, number two, number three. And here's all my book reports that can show you. Can you see how valuable this would be to your customers, to your other employees, to your team? I'm going to make this company significantly more efficient. That doesn't happen by accident, Justin. It happens because you sowed these seeds to build a pathway to success. And that's what starts a conversation. And when you start that conversation, people stop looking at you as if you were in prison your whole life, and they start saying, holy crap, this guy's enormously valuable to me. That's the big difference. So it's one of the reasons that I want you to start this pathway of self-directed learning and building your own resume. And so it doesn't matter if it's a book, although that thing says book reports. Anytime you do something that you think is going to advance you, memorialize it, because that will become an asset that you can later cash in. I cash them in all the time, okay? And I am showing you how to do it. I'm not going to ask you to do anything I didn't do. The fourth component of this Prison Professor's Talent is to write your release plan. So I'm going to ask you this week to start thinking about, what does your life look like in May of 2026? That's when you finish with the Bureau of Prisons, or you're still getting time credits, right?
I am not getting time credits. I guess the First Step Act was a year. I earned those, and 26 is my date, unless, I
That's
take it in
not
front of the
changing at
judge.
all?
And nope.
Okay. I'm not sure that's accurate. You may have to do some administrative remedy work on that, but we'll cross that bridge later. Let's focus on May of 26 and
Okay.
tell us what your life is going to look like in May of 26. What do you anticipate earning? How much money do you expect to have in the bank? How are you going to develop more skills, right? Start writing that and then update that release plan just like you update that biography every 90 days.
Okay.
And that is going to significantly help you build your pathway on the other side of this journey when you're done with the Bureau of Prisons. And you'll also be able to use this to advocate for yourself when it's time to ask your judge for early termination of supervised release. So start building these assets, and it will help you significantly on the other side of this journey. Okay?
Okay.
These are the videos that we've created today. I'm going to publish them on YouTube, and I'm going to publish them on your website, and then the rest is on you. You got to do the job. If you have questions, of course, you could ask me. But I would encourage you to be looking at what I do, because it's what I do. I don't ask you to do anything I'm not doing.
Those are big shoes to fill, Mike.
What?
Those are big shoes to fill, Michael.
Say that again?
I said those are big shoes to fill.
No, I'm a size 10 and a half. It's all good. It's just a matter of saying, I don't expect you, I started preparing the day I did go to prison, okay?
Yeah.
You're at this stage of the journey, but I genuinely mean that when I say it's never too early and it's never too late. Yeah. I am showing you what to do. It's on you to do it. But if you follow this path, you will not be thinking about $60 an hour. You will be thinking about, how am I going to generate a business that's generating $2 million a year in revenues? And, I'm employing other people, and I'm a taxpayer, and I'm doing all. None of that happens by accident. You can definitely do it, but you can't do it with happy talk, and you can't do it if you don't have a plan. I'm giving you a plan. It's up to you whether you want to follow this plan. All right?
All right, Michael.
Fair enough. So I'm going to stop the recording.